What's up? Can you guys hear me? Whew, that's so bright. It always surprises me every time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, y'all listen up.
Hello.
I'm Roya.
Nope, not yet.
What's up? Hey, Seth, Terry. Have a seat.
Shh. What's up, y'all? I am Lee. If you do not know me, or you don't recognize me, some of you seventh graders might not. I'm the director of small groups. So I'm on staff here. I'm usually not up here. I'm usually hanging out with your leaders. I'm so excited to be a part of this ministry. And today, actually, this very day, is my 2-year anniversary at Brentwood. Yeah. Which super, super, super exciting. I'm excited to celebrate with all of you. It's been a fun journey. So it's been a funny thing for me to take on the task. Hey, y'all, listen up. I won't talk over you. It's been funny for me to take on the task of being the person who opens the series called Focus. Because if you know anything about me, it is like my number one struggle. I am the most ADD person. So the fact that we as a staff collectively decided, hey, Lee, why don't you start things off, is like, what in the world? Just it totally proves that God has a sense of humor. I told my mom that I was going to be talking about this, and she literally, I had to hold the phone out because she was laughing so hard. She was like, really, you're going to talk about focusing? Nothing like good support from your parents, right? Thank God. That's actually not self-diagnosed. I actually take medicine because I struggle so much. I remember in middle school that my mom would have to write a note for me to get special permission to sit and take a test in a room with no one around. Has anybody else ever had to do that? Because I struggle so much because there was always somebody in the room who was tapping, right, or crumpling paper. And we would get ready to turn in the test, and I'd still be on question 1 because I was so absorbed in that thing that was distracting me. It was really no different when I went to college. I would get invited to go to study groups or, hey, come over and study with us. I never could be that girl. I was the girl looking like an axe murderer walking into the library because I had on a hoodie all the way up, earplugs, not earphones, earplugs, the foam ones, in my ear with sunglasses on so that I didn't see or get distracted or hear. I was totally in a cubby hiding because things distract me so very much. Very often, Herschel and I will be driving, and he'll say things like, whoa, did you see that? He'll see an animal or, someone picking their nose or something in the car next to us. Or he'll see a cool car. He'll be like, did you see that? And I'm over here in my phone no, sorry, I was deciding what Instagram filter to use. I'm stuck in my phone. I miss a lot because I'm distracted. I bet you're like me. The phone really sucks me in. Anybody else? Yeah, okay, like a peanut butter cup. I love those too. Don't distract me even more than I already am. But my phone will distract me, and I will get so sucked into Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram. I don't know how to do that Snap stuff, so I haven't gotten there yet. Hey, y'all, listen up. But I'll look up, and it'll have been 3 hours since I've interacted with anyone because I just get sucked in to my phone. I'm just the queen of being distracted. This commercial is hysterical to me. Some of you may have seen it, but it illustrates some of the distractions that we deal with.
Hello. I'm Roya.
Hi, Roya. Nice to meet you. Hey, Seth, Terry. Have a seat. Hello.
I'm Roya.
Hi, Roya. Nice to meet you. Hey, Seth, Terry. Have a seat. I have a video I want you to watch, and no matter what, I need you to stay focused. Don't take your eyes off the screen. So, it is hard to stay focused.
The wrestlers are by far my favorite. I think that's the most hilarious thing ever. But we struggle, right? Y'all listen up. We struggle. We struggle to stay focused. And it's all funny. That's hysterical. That commercial is hysterical to me. But then you insert our faith journey and it becomes a little less funny. I don't know if you, hey, listen up. I don't know if you struggle like me to focus on God. It's a real task. It's something I really, really, really have to work at. There was a season in my life where I was really frustrated. I was really lost and confused. I had just finished graduate school. Some of you may have heard me share this story before. I'd finished graduate school in New York City, and I moved back home to Alabama, and I felt like God was definitely calling me to do that. But I was frustrated because it's not where I wanted to be. It's not what I saw happening. And I had this desire on my heart to do something different. And at the time, I was working as a therapist in hospice. And if any of you know what hospice is, hospice works with patients as they're going through the dying process. So I worked with them and I worked with their families to counsel them. And it's an honor to walk beside people during that season of their life, but it's also hard. It's really hard. And it is not where I thought God would have me. And I was angry and frustrated, and I felt a real loss of control. But I knew that God had put a dream in my heart to be in ministry, full-time vocational ministry. But I didn't know how to get there. And I knew that God had placed me in this other career, in this other place. And I really struggled. And I started to dream up what it might look like. Hey, y'all, listen up. I started to dream what it might look like for me to get to where I wanted to go. And I would talk to friends and I would say, I really have this desire and this dream, and I'm yearning and I'm longing to be in ministry. And my mom would say things like, but you just went to NYU and you have so much debt. And if you take a minister's salary, Lee, you'll never pay it back. Why would you want to do that? Or my friends would say, but you just moved back. Don't you want to settle in? Like, you just came back to us. Don't leave again. You know how hard it is to make new friends? Don't you want to stay? And mentors and people that I trusted in my career field would say, have you put in enough work yet? You've only been here 2 years. Like, do you really think you've put in enough? But I knew I had this yearning, and all of these voices caused me to doubt. And I think they were well-intentioned. These people believed in me and they wanted to help me, but they made me doubt and they made me question. And I was so distracted by these voices. And I would drive home. You've heard me talk about this before. I'd drive home and I would just cry because I knew God had put something in my heart, but I couldn't see it come into life. And all I could see and all I could hear was what was going on in the voices and things that were going on around me. Until one day, I was driving home and I heard this voice kind of just in my spirit, in my soul, not an audible thing. They just said, hey, Lee, why don't you look at me? Why don't you listen to me? Remember, I'm the one who put the dream in your heart to begin with. And do you want to see it come to life? Then you've got to know me, and you've got to trust me, and you've got to focus on me. See, I was busy focusing on what everybody else was saying. Reminds me of the scripture, and it's very much a life verse for me. If you were here the last couple of months, we heard different pastors from our congregation preach on their life verse. This is one for me. I'll read it to you. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to set out for a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he set out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he stayed for a time in the land that he had been promised, as in a foreign land, living in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob. For he looked forward to the city that had foundations, whose architect and builder was God. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how I was going to get there. Who would want me? I hadn't had any real ministry experience. I'd only volunteered. I had never worked professionally in a ministry setting. How would I ever take a pay cut in the way that I thought I'd have to take it? Who would want me? How would I get there? When was it all going to come to life? I didn't know where I was going. But like Abraham, it was time to step out and focus on God and to look forward to a city where God had prepared a place for me, a place that had been built by God. The only way I could get there, if you look in verse 10, was to look forward. That's the way. There's so many voices in our world, so many distractions. Maybe for you and for me, It's the need to be in control. Maybe it's the need to be perfect. Maybe it's clothing, the need to be accepted. Maybe it's needing to be the best in a sport, the best in the game. Maybe it's your grades. Maybe it's a guy or a girl that you like. Maybe, like times in my life, even as an adult, maybe you're lonely. And maybe the voices that are distracting you are saying, you're not good enough. You're weird. No one's ever going to invite you to things. No one's ever going to like you. Maybe those are the voices that you hear, but they are untrue, and they are only distractions. If you have a Bible, I'd love for you to open it with me. We're going to center on this text for the rest of our time together. But I'm going to read it to you now. We're going to read Colossians 1, 9 through 14, and I want you to focus right now as we read. For this reason, since the day we heard it, we have not ceased praying for you and asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of God's will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so that you may lead lives worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to him as you bear fruit in every good work and as you grow in the knowledge of God. May you be strong with all the strength that comes from his glorious power, and may you be prepared to endure everything with patience, while joyfully giving thanks to the Father, who has enabled you to share in the inheritance of the saints in the light. He has rescued us from the power of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Verse 21, and you who are once estranged and hostile in mind, doing evil things, he is now reconciled in his fleshly body through death, so as to present you holy and blameless and irreproachable before him, provided that you continue securely established and steadfast in the faith, without shifting from the hope promised by the gospel that you heard, which has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and I, Paul, became a servant of this gospel. 23 is really important for us. This Colossians was written by Paul, likely between 61 and 63 AD, maybe co-written with Timothy. And Paul is writing to the church in Colossae because at that time, which you'll find is very, very similar to the time we're living in, there was the gospel, there was truth, right? And then there were all these other ideas and religions, and they're called like legalism and mysticism. And I know those are big words for you, but there are all these ideas about how you could take care of yourself and you are your own savior, right? And he's saying, no, don't listen to all that stuff. Don't listen to all those distractions. You need to focus on Christ. He is your sole priority. He is your number one focus. That's what Paul is saying here. Lindsay's going to share a little bit more about that next week. But he was praying for them, begging them, warning them. Anything other than the truth is a distraction, and that is dangerous. Yesterday, I was watching football. Sad day for some of us. And the commentators were reflecting on a few of the top 25 losses, which Auburn narrowly escaped, thank God. And they said this, and it really stuck out. Herschel and I were watching together, and I just kind of stopped because I think it's so relevant to what we're talking about today. And this is what they said, and I want you to listen up. They said this: the one things that teams have to remember and they have to do each week is play the team they're playing that week. Don't look ahead in your schedule. Guys, you have to worry about the team that you're meeting on the field today. They were talking about these teams that had lost because instead of focusing on where they were in the game today and the people they were meeting on the field today, they were focused on what was ahead, the next biggest game. I think our distractions often keep us anxious about what could be and what might be. Where will we go to college? Will anybody ask me to that dance? Will anyone ever notice me? And God says, look at me. Look at me. Right here, right now. Keep your eyes focused on me. I'm not saying that casting vision for your future or thinking about your future is bad. It's not. It's just important to keep God in front and trust him to guide you. I think Proverbs 4 says this beautifully, and we're going to close shortly after this. It says, my son, pay attention to my words. Bend your ear to my speech. Don't let them slip from your sight. Guard them in your mind. They are life to those who find them and healing for their entire body. More than anything, you guard and protect your mind, for life flows from it. Have nothing to do with a corrupt mouth. Keep devious lips far from you. This is what I want you to see. Focus your eyes straight ahead. Keep your gaze on what is right in front of you. Watch your feet on the way, and your paths will be secure. And don't deviate a bit, not to the right or to the left. Don't look at the distractions over here or over there, but keep your focus on Christ. You know all those voices I was hearing when I was really yearning and longing to be in ministry? I decided I had a voice too as a child of God. And after looking at him in the face and focusing on him, I got to speak right back to those voices that were coming and distracting me in my head. With my eyes on Jesus, I would say things like, my God is for me. He will never leave me. He will never forsake me. The Lord works for good of those who love him, and he gives life to those who hear his words. The same things can be said to those things that are getting in your way. You know the magic eyes as you walk in the room? I don't know if you stopped and saw those or if you've ever done those before. I would encourage you sometime over the next 2 weeks to come in and hang out with those. But the key to those, they're this weird image, right? And the key to them, you know what it is? You put your nose right up to the picture, like on the picture. And then you back up. You stay with it for a little while, and then you back up, and the picture comes out. How beautiful is that in a picture of our relationship with Christ? If we can get really close and tune into him and draw into him and take a step back, wow, do things come into focus. Things become clearer for us. My prayer this week is that whatever your distractions are, that you would surrender them to Jesus. That you wouldn't let your eyes move to the right or to the left. That you would listen only for his voice. That you would hear Paul's words to the Colossians and say, it's dangerous. Hold fast, be established in truth. May we take his warning and keep Christ at the center of our lives. My prayer is that you will steady your gaze and you will look forward, focusing on him. Would you pray with me?